can I have everyone's attention? We're going to get started on the last session of the day, the last session of geoscience. For those of you who are exhausted by geoscience, I hope you enjoy this last session. I'm sure it's going to be very interesting. We have some very good speakers and some very important topics for energy and infrastructure. So I am going to just turn it over right away to our first speaker, Cody Jennings. Did I get that right, Cody? I'm sorry. From the Port of Skagway, who is going to give us an update on that very important piece of infrastructure for the Yukon. Cody?
Thank you, Alan. Thanks to the Yukon Chamber of Mines for inviting me here to give you guys an update. I hope to cover some of the infrastructure projects that we have going on in Skagway, dock redevelopment, rock slide hazards, and then talk about some of our sustainable initiatives with hydropower in Skagway. I think I'm going to need this. So just a brief outline of our infrastructure in Skagway. So we have our 3 cruise ship docks. We've got the Broadway dock and Ore dock, which are municipal-owned docks. The Ore dock just recently underwent upgrades for the cruise portion. The railroad dock is privately owned and currently is facing a rock slide hazard, so another component that we'll go over. The north part of the Ore dock is where we accommodate fuel barges, potentially a future marine services platform, and a multi-purpose industrial dock. We also have a small freight pier that services weekly cargo barges, and then our Alaska Marine Highway ferry float. This is a shared ownership with Alaska DOT and the municipality. This services ferries and small vessels, cruise vessels, some small cargo. So one of our, what we consider part of our local infrastructure is the Klondike Highway, connecting Alaska to the Yukon, Canada's interior, global markets through the Klondike Highway and Inside Passage. Obviously, important component for mining logistics, exporting ore, importing mining equipment and other supplies. Also sees 22 to 25 million gallons of fuel cross from Skagway into the Yukon every year, and 17,000 tons of goods arrive in Skagway. 65% approximately come into the Yukon. One of the big investments that are happening, or 2 of the investments that are happening right now with the Klondike Highway are DOT projects. One of them is a $24 million State Street rehab, so the main heavy haul route in Skagway. So that's started this year, 2025, and will resume again in 26. Klondike Highway upgrades are expected to start in 26, and it will run from the Skagway River Bridge all the way to the US-Canada border, so some significant upgrades to that route. We'll start with the elephant in the room, the rock slide hazard. It's been a hazard for us since 2022. We continued slope instability, rockfall events that we've been monitoring. We have significant mitigation measures. You can see in the image there's some attenuators that protect the infrastructure down below, which is the railroad dock. We applied for a FEMA grant and were awarded $19.9 million in 2024. As of 2025, we've been funded 1.2 million to accommodate the first phase, which is the design and permitting. Given current state of affairs, it seems unlikely that we will get the remaining funds for the construction. This will likely be port financed. Right now, as I said, we're in the design phase. It appears that the preferred approach is going to be excavation of the top rock mass and then removal and then stabilization, potentially with anchors and other things to stabilize that. Right now, as I said, we're still in engineering and permitting, potentially starting late 26, potentially into 27, but all of this is dependent on permits. Several years ago, in 2021, we started evaluating upgrades needed for the port. We went through an extensive port master planning process. Through that, the Ore Peninsula redevelopment really rose to the forefront for upgrades to the port. Aging infrastructure really drove that. The rockfall hazard also pushed that to the forefront so that we made sure that we had adequate dock facilities. So in 2024, we wrapped up the first phase of that, which is the installation of the cruise float. It's a 500 by 50 foot float to accommodate large cruise ships. That portion wrapped up in 24. In 25, we've been pursuing the electrical component of that, water lines for vessels to take on water while they're in port, fire suppression system, the installation of anodes, and then by the end of the year, we hope to have out to bid a high spot dredging effort to address a high spot on the corner of that dock. The second phase of that is creating a multi-use facility at the ore dock. And this is the north portion of that dock. Earlier this year, we submitted a $49.5 million PIDP grant application. It's a port infrastructure, federal funds to fund this project. And this encompasses replacing the aging timber dock, existing conveyor on the edge of the ore terminal, and then adding, filling in that slab with concrete to accommodate heavy movement, the heavy freight movement. It also includes relocation and installation of new steel fuel lines that have spill containment features, and then a non-fixed roll-on, roll-off ramp for our varying operations for varying tides. Ultimately, this is for us to ensure that we have all the necessary freight handling capabilities, but also moves that industry further north in the berth so that we can accommodate industry as well as cruise. The Marine Services Platform is another component here. It is a joint project with Yukon government for mineral exports. It includes the installation of demolition of the, potentially demolition, we may get that in the PIDP, but installation of dolphins, trestle, and ore handling systems for efficiency. Right now, we are in permitting for the, I'll have to get this right, the Endangered Species Act and the Marine Mammal Protection Act through the Army Corps of Engineers. This is expected to take 18 to 24 months to reinitiate these permits. Construction would be some time after that. Right now, we are working with Yukon government on a long-term access and user terms. That's still being worked through, but we're confident. We had a meeting with them this morning, continue to have those discussions. We're also working on a broader dredging project for the ore basin, or the West Basin in Skagway. The goal is to dredge the ore basin to a -42 mean low water mark, and then we'll also do a small piece at the ferry float. This is expected to be just about 76,000 cubic yards of material in the West Basin, and about 8,000 cubic yards at the ferry dock, the east side of the ferry dock. Again, permitting is 18 to 24 months for this project, and we expect the project to take about 155 days and at a cost of about $18.5 million. Ultimately, we need to do this to accommodate these larger class vessels, cruise ships. With the Skagway River nearby, the sediment from the river is a constant concern for us, and allows us, especially for the projects that are happening in the North Basin, gives us more flexibility for the vessels that we can accommodate. Oh, going the wrong way. We're also working on several sustainable development initiatives. We signed on to the Pacific Northwest to Alaska Green Corridor project. I think that was in 2022. And this is just a partnering initiative aimed at creating sustainable zero-emission marine corridor. And so we're actively involved in just engagement with all the other communities in Southeast Alaska. I think Port of Vancouver, Port of Victoria, so something that we're watching closely. In 2022, we signed a MOU with Yukon Energy Corporation to explore hydropower. We're still interested in exploring this. We have also more recently been working with Burrow Creek Hydro to explore a public-private partnership with them. This is a 2 to 7 megawatt hydroelectric project, and part of that, we just awarded a contract for a feasibility study for this. And so that's just getting started now, so more to come on that project. Ultimately, we are looking for that strategic vision to lead us through these next projects. We plan to do an update to our port master plan in 2026, just to guide our long-term priorities for the port. The industrial pier is really important for our planning to advance the ore dock as a multi-use facility, including industry and cruise. Again, the energy, looking to continue exploring opportunities for port electrification. And then, of course, looking at how Skagway can fit in with some of the mining initiatives in the Yukon. We have been engaged closely with Yukon government, Selkirk Copper, and Casino, so look to continue those conversations. As I said, Yukon government, we've been working on collaborating on the MSP, so we hope to advance those discussions. I think we're sort of in a holding pattern right now, waiting. I know you guys just had elections, so I think that will advance some of those conversations for us. Western Copper and Gold, they were very graciously hosted us this morning, and so we were able to give them some updates on all of these projects, and so look forward to continued collaboration with them. Same with Selkirk Copper, looking at ore shipment strategies for them for the Minto mine revival. I think we continue to have regular check-ins with them about how Skagway fits and what our facilities, how our facilities can fit with their planning. We are looking to re-engage with Yukon Energy for re-exploring the MOU. And then, of course, industry associations like the Yukon Chamber of Mines or the Joint Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. These collaborations have been really beneficial for us from the municipality and the port, just advising our development priorities, and we hope to continue to advance that. We recognize that Skagway's importance to Yukon for their mining initiatives, for cargo, for fuel. We want to make sure that we're actively engaged in these processes. It's a critical corridor for Yukon exports, or Canadian imports and Yukon mineral exports, and want to play an active role in that. We continue to collaborate with DOT, Yukon government, Alaska Marine Highway to ensure year-round access to our port and our port facilities. We understand the economic impact of all of these relationships, how it drives our infrastructure development and our partnerships. And we will continue to pursue green initiatives and things that ensure long-term success of the port. I think that's all of my points. That's all I have for today.